Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities. Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives. And when in doubt, leave it out.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with
Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and this is the CBC Morning Report for Thursday, January 4th. In our top story, if the National Council for Substance Abuse has its way, they want vaping banned in Barbados. Australia has already implemented its restrictions, announcing a comprehensive strategy to ban vaping, apart from prescribing by a physician for smoking cessation and additionally banning imports of disposable use vapes, a type that has been particularly attractive to the nation's youth from Monday this week. Deputy Director of the Drug Prevention Agency, Troy Wickham, says they have begun the education and advocacy drive against vaping.
Vape is tobacco, and it falls under the Tobacco Act that it must not be used in public places. So that push has already been in place. However, it's to educate the public, and that's one of the reasons for, especially for the next 3 months, we'll be engaging the Barbados Police Service to speak to the acts, the various acts surrounding alcohol, surrounding tobacco, surrounding the amendments to the Cannabis Act, to let them know that these laws need to be enforced.
Mr. Wickham knows that vaping, like alcohol, is easily accessible, and they want to protect young people.
It's important that we protect, especially the younger demographic, against obviously the appetite for substances. As you know, as Wendy said earlier in the conversation, that alcohol is all over the home, and our research has consistently shown us that for accessibility, the home, a family, siblings, and they introduce the younger demographic to substances and give them the appetite for substances, and we are trying to obviously deter them.
NCSA deputy added that with many adults doing these things openly and still functioning, the young people believe there will be no harm to their health.
If I have a sibling or parent who engages in substance use and they go to work every day, they appear to be functioning normally, and then for Wendy or myself to come to your school and say, well, look, drugs can kill. Then I would say, but for 40 years, I saw my daddy smoking or drinking rum or using alcohol or using marijuana. He got no very normal to me. So that's the challenge.
The Centers for Disease Control say the use of e-cigarettes are unsafe for kids, teens, and young adults, with most e-cigarettes containing nicotine, a highly addictive substance. A CDC study found that 99% of the e-cigarettes sold in access venues in the United States contain nicotine, which is harmful to the developing adolescent brain, as it impacts the parts of the brain that control attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. Nicotine withdrawal symptoms include irritability, restlessness, feeling anxious or depressed, trouble sleeping, problems concentrating, and craving nicotine. Youth may turn to vaping to try to deal with stress or anxiety, creating a cycle of nicotine dependence. Coming up on the CBC Morning Report, Hezbollah not afraid to go to war with Israel.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados.
Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah says the Lebanese group is not afraid of war. But in his first speech since the killing of Salah al-Aruri, he avoided any declaration that his forces would escalate attacks against Israel.
Salah al-Aruri was killed in a drone strike in the Lebanese capital, along with 6 other Hamas members. Israel has not acknowledged responsibility for the strike, but it says all Hamas leaders are targets following the October the 7th attack. Nasrallah says Hezbollah would not remain silent.
If the enemy thinks of waging war on Lebanon, we will fight without restraint, without rules, without limits, and without restrictions. They know what I mean. Whoever considers going into war against us will simply regret it. A war against us will be very, very, very costly. We have so far been considerate towards the situation in Lebanon and the Lebanese national interest. So, if a war is waged on Lebanon, then the Lebanese national interests obligate us to go into war until the end without restrictions.
Zaina Hoda is in Beirut with more details on what Hassan Nasrallah had to say.
He said that this crime will not go unpunished. The assassination of Hamas's second-in-command, Salah Aruri, who was killed in Hezbollah's stronghold. But at the same time, it was a very delicate balancing act that Hassan Nasrallah, first of all, he talked about the front in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah is engaged in a low-intensity conflict with the Israeli army along that border. He is saying that it will continue. Both sides really have been calculating their attacks, ensuring that it doesn't become or trigger a full-blown conflict. He's saying that that will continue. But at the same time, he's saying that that doesn't mean Hezbollah is not ready for war, and that Israel, if Israel decides to launch a full-scale offensive, Hezbollah will fight back with its full military capabilities, and threatening the Israelis that they will pay a heavy price. But Hezbollah, Nasrallah also kept talking about strategic national creations that each of the so-called resistance groups and this axis of resistance across the region have to take into account. And in Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah knows that Israel can destroy this country. Israeli ministers have said that they will level Beirut, that they will level the southern suburbs of Beirut, where 500,000 people live. Yes, it's known as a Hezbollah stronghold, where Hezbollah has bases and offices, but it is also a residential neighborhood where 500,000 people live. Where will these people go? So in many ways, his hands are tied, but at the same time, reiterating that Hezbollah is not afraid of war, and that if it comes to that, it is ready to wage a confrontation.
Dozens of people have been killed in Iran and more than 200 others wounded in explosions, and today has been declared a day of mourning. It was not immediately clear what caused the blast. Officials have blamed a terrorist attack.
More than 170 people have been injured. Wednesday marks 4 years since the senior general was killed in a US drone strike near the airport in Baghdad in Iraq. President Ibrahim Raisi has now cancelled a planned trip to Turkey, and a day of mourning has been declared on Thursday. Mustafa Kashishim is an Iranian political analyst. He says many children are among casualties.
There have been a couple of terrorist attacks on the path that ends up in the cemetery of the city of Kerman, a few hundred yards away from the burial place of martyred General Qasem Soleimani. Apparently 73 people have been martyred, 171 others have been wounded. The numbers could rise. But among those killed are children. A number of children have been killed. The burial, the ceremony, the anniversary moved ahead, and it's being done peacefully. But there are also unconfirmed reports that there could have been a third bomb that have been defused by Iranian security guards. So those that have been killed in this attack so far have been reported to be from the civilians. no military or no official has been reported dead. I mean, a few hundred yards away from Qasem Soleimani's burial place, you have so many people that come. It's like Arba'in, we call them Mukeb. They distribute drinks and food to the people. So, been civilians, most of them, if not all of them.
Major firms have stopped using the Suez Canal to ship their goods around the world since Yemen's Houthi rebels started to attack shipping vessels on the Red Sea. In this report, we hear about the consequences for this changing shipping routines.
As the new year begins, commercial maritime traffic on the Suez Canal is down by nearly a third compared to a year ago. And 2/3 of container ships canceled their Suez bookings last week. As Houthis continue their attacks on commercial vessels, major firms have stopped using the canal. So where are they going? Many are sailing around the southern tip of Africa. Container ship traffic at the Cape of Good Hope has nearly doubled. But vessels carrying oil, liquefied natural gas, metals, and grains are also diverting to the Southern Passage. And that's not only due to the conflict in the Red Sea. Traffic at the Panama Canal, half a world away, has also been reduced due to drought.
If you, for example, were talking about a container vessel that was coming from Asia to Europe, that usually takes 35 days to go from Asia to Europe. So by adding another 10, 12 days on top of that, that means that the rotations between Asia and Europe are going to be less on a year. So that means that the carrying capacity of the vessel and the company as well is going to drop. And that kind of carrying capacity is the problem, because that's how the shipping companies are making money.
Sailing around Africa to avoid the Red Sea adds over 3,500 nautical miles, 10 extra days, and millions of dollars to a trip between Europe and Asia. Fuel makes up half of a vessel's operational cost, and more fuel means more emissions, and that's just as the European Union is charging new tariffs at its ports to curb them. And for us, more expensive goods, just as governments are trying to ease inflation. Developing countries that rely on food commodities already diverted due to the war in Ukraine could be hit again.
Of course, another thing we have to keep in mind is that when all the vessels are going to arrive in 20 days from today, because at the moment they're taking a detour and they're diversifying around Africa, but when all those vessels are going to arrive into the ports, then maybe we're going to see some kind of congestion over there.
Following the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, the Suez Canal was closed for 7 years. In today's more connected world, these few crossings are even more valuable.
Time now to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados. There's going to be lots to talk about this morning. Yes, we're going to be hearing from Sharon Bellamy Thompson of the Fishers of Men charity, all about her Christmas activities and how the children enjoyed it. We're going to get to see that first, well, not firsthand, but in pictures, hear what she had to do and what's coming up for 2024. We're also going to hear what's coming up this year for BARP, yes, the Barbados Association of Retired Persons. We'll have their president, Marilyn Rice Bowen, along to talk about some of the activities they'll be engaging in as they try to ensure that we age healthy and age strong. We'll also be hearing from some dentists this morning. Yes, did you know there was something called sleep medicine? Well, that will be explained to you, along with sleep apnea. And we'll have the dentist in the house. Yes, so it's a packed morning coming up on Morning Barbados. More news, sports, and weather after the break.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes. to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the first 4 ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in
Scotiabank's intention to charge for transfers to other banks has generated much response online. CBC's Crystal Hoyt reports.
One user on a social media platform questioned if the move was conducive to an evolving banking sector, tweeting $1.25 per transfer, so much for going cashless and fostering seamless payments. Another user charged that the quality of service is declining as new fees are introduced, describing it as nothing more than greed. While one consumer was sympathetic to the cost of building out these systems, he said the social responsibility of the bank should be around the customer and the ease of doing business. Users also suggested that Scotiabank was not the only bank with such fees, pointing out that RBC Royal Bank has fees for transfers to other banks. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Meanwhile, the people in the street have also been having their say on the transfer fees.
I think that, the businesses, houses doing extra stuff like that, banks rather, isn't really helping the public to grow. And the thing is, we hear, when you're not going to do account, how they're all for you and whatnot, then they just slam these extra costs on you. Now, don't get me wrong, if we can go to the bank and the lines are short and we can just have Wi-Fi, cafe, and what have you, if they're giving us all those services, sure, you can charge me extra $125. If I'm going to go there, the lines are very short, tellers are there working, I don't have a problem with that, paying for the good service.
I don't think that the bank should charge any more for transactions. Right now the banks are overrated, and I just think that it is a bit too much. And even like for small businesses, like even to open accounts at the banks is like really too much, and I think it's ridiculous. And charging to just send money to another bank or a credit union, I think that is not right, in my opinion.
I don't think it's reasonable, seeing that people need to make their own money, seeing that it's kind of tough in these times nowadays. So I don't think it's something they should do.
A work crew from the National Petroleum Corporation has been able to fully resolve the gas leak issue that resulted in a temporary cordon of the Tudor Street and Swan Street junction on Tuesday. Acting General Manager Ian Bradshaw says a team from the NPC returned to the area yesterday morning to conduct a further leak detection survey. The portable methane detector, which measures the level of natural gas present in the area, was utilized once more, and it was confirmed that no methane was detected. Officers of the corporation also liaised with several members of the business community regarding the original complaint, and feedback was received that the natural gas scent was no longer present. Meanwhile, Mr. Bradshaw also revealed that generally there's ongoing pipeline replacement works to replace aged infrastructure. He said the natural gas mains replacement project is designed to replace aged cast iron pipeline infrastructure along Highway 7, Millards Hill and Bridgetown. As a result, he says they're sensitizing the public of the possibilities of experiencing suspected gas leaks and strong scents of gas. Former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Basdio Panday, is set to receive a state funeral. The announcement came from the Office of the Prime Minister. Mr. Panday had traveled to the U.S. for medical treatment in mid-December, but died there on Monday. More from TTT News.
You wrong me in every way, you wrong me, Brutus. I said an elder soldier, not a better. Did I say better? If you did, I care not. When Caesar lived, he dost not thus have moved me. Peace, peace, you dost not so have tempted. I dost not.
A piece of acting which was once buried in the archives is now a treasure of the present, as many mourn the passing of actor, former Prime Minister and veteran politician Basdio Panday. He was described as a giant of a man who led this country with passion and compassion by President Christine Kangaloo. When he first became Prime Minister in 1995, he was welcomed with applause by the staff at his new office.
I could feel the goodwill and the sense of warmth among the staff. I have assured them that I'll operate an open door policy here.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said Mr. Pandey, having served the nation for so long and in so many different ways, with such resolve and panache, can only be recognized as a true believer in this nation and its potential. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar extended condolences to the family and friends in a Facebook post. She said she was saddened that Mr. Pandey had passed away and added that she will always love him and be grateful that he was a significant influence in her life. Mr. Pandey, who was a past student of Presentation College, San Fernando, continued to have a strong relationship with the school and its administrators even after reaching the age of 90. Principal of the school, Dexter Mitchell, said they will continue to keep his legacy alive.
We started today by, having our flags, school flags, scout flags, and the national flag flown at half-mast. A prayer was also offered for his soul this morning in the morning assembly. And on Thursday evening, we will be having a tribute service for him on Thursday evening college.
When the country's fifth Prime Minister took office, he spoke about the power of unity for the nation to progress.
I've always been of the firm conviction that without unity, this nation cannot go very far. Our first task, therefore, must be to unite this nation as it has never been united before. We must make sure that every man, woman, and child in this beloved land of ours genuinely and sincerely feel that they belong.
Regionally, leaders like Prime Minister of Jamaica Andrew Holness said Mr. Pandey leaves behind a vast legacy that will be treasured and honoured. A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister Communications Division on Tuesday indicated that all state and non-state agencies are advised to fly the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago at half-mast in observance of the former Prime Minister's death. Further to this, the ministry has informed that a state funeral will be held in honour of the late former Prime Minister, and further details will be conveyed at a later date.
In Jamaica, a wage dispute between the government and staff of University of the West Indies Mona campus and also the University of Technology could escalate as unions are demanding urgent meetings on the matter. And as we hear from TVJ, both situations are already causing delays with the release of students' grades.
Speaking with our news centre, Public Relations Officer Tashika Burris-Melville says the union made the decision after the deadline given to the Ministry of Finance was not met.
This decision was taken after several requests and collaborative efforts to address the long-standing issue. Therefore, at a general meeting of the UTASU convened on November 30th, 2023, the members gave the executive the mandate to take whatever actions necessary to advance and settle the compensation review if it was not received by December 31st, 2023.
She says despite the impact of the industrial action, the move was necessary.
There is an unresolved salary issue with another bargaining unit on the campus, and the Ministry of Finance and Public Service has maintained that it will not decouple the groups, thus will not move forward with other bargaining units until the unresolved issues are settled. We acknowledge and understand the implications that our decision will have on students. However, it is crucial to emphasize a healthy and supportive faculty environment is essential for delivering the best possible education.
The union says it is one of the few public sector groups who have not been engaged by the Ministry of Finance under the review exercise. The union represents well over 300 academic staff. Meanwhile, members of the West Indies group of university teachers in Jamaica are restive following a stalled compensation agreement. The group, which represents educators at the University of the West Indies Mona, in a letter dated December 22, 2023, encouraged members to withhold marks, not upload course material, and not provide system support unless an emergency situation arises starting January 5. The group says members will also not be attending meetings, holding academic advising sessions, nor providing learning support. This, it says, is in response to the lack of a meaningful offer for an interim cost of living package. The union says the protest action is intended to help secure an interim 25% increase in salary and associated allowances no later than February 29.
Health authorities in Bermuda have urged the public to remain vigilant amidst a winter surge in respiratory infections such as COVID. More from the Bermuda Broadcasting Company.
Winter weather and holiday gatherings have given rise to the usual gamut of viruses. But of current concern is a spike in infections across the island. In the lead up to the Christmas holiday, the Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit warned of an increase in reports of fever and respiratory symptoms, including COVID-19, common cold, strep throat, RSV, and influenza. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Health said, of particular concern is the elevated level of influenza cases, which is significantly above normal for this time of the year. According to Dr. Kaiwan Brown of North Shore Medical, the weather and a rise in social events are factors driving the current uptick.
The increase in cases are contributed mainly by a change in weather and also increased social gatherings. As this time of the year, people are gathering around. We just had Christmas and Boxing Day, and now we're on to New Year's. So that's usually the cause of it, and also seasonal change. What people have to understand is just like how we have seasonal flu, we're going to have seasonal COVID, right? And there's going to be a new strain that's going to come around every year for the foreseeable future.
Most recent of the strains is JN1, which is spreading rapidly in many corners of the world, including the United States, where it accounts for nearly half of the country's COVID cases. The symptoms of JN1 are similar to those caused by previous COVID variants, including a cough, fever, body aches, and fatigue. But experts say it does not appear to be causing severe illness in most people.
JN1 is now high in circulation in the States, is about 44% of cases, and there's a few hospitalizations. We are finding that it's a lot more transmissible. There is about 38 new mutations on the spike protein itself, which may make it a lot more transmissible, but we aren't seeing it create patients to be that sick where they have to be hospitalized per se. There may be those individuals that may be immunocompromised, or this may be the first time they've ever received the COVID virus and they're unvaccinated. Those individuals, may get very sick, but generally the population who is vaccinated and or have been inoculated with the virus previously would have a degree of immunity.
Dr. Brown said COVID cases are going unreported on island and suggests the virus is running rampant through the community. And although respiratory illnesses are common around this time of year, he says at his surgery he has observed that people are sicker and their symptoms are lasting longer.
What I am seeing is that people are a little bit more sick and the symptoms are lasting a lot longer. I think there's a number of factors in around vaccinations, the flu and or mixed with COVID. So there's a lot of different things that are going on right now. People's immune systems are just pretty much not as strong as they used to be for various reasons. So patients have to be aware that if the flu or if their cold and flu-like symptoms are not really resolving in 4 to 5 days, and they're going on for about, this is now week 2 or week 3, usually at week 2, you should be seeing your physician for a checkup in that regards. And if it's going on for 3 weeks, you need to be seen.
Persistent coughs that keep you up at night or cause chest pain, and mucus that changes color from clear to green to brown are also signs to look out for that warrant a visit to your physician, added Dr. Brown. And a reminder that among the best ways to avoid infection, and especially for the elderly and others at high risk, are to avoid large gatherings, practice good hand hygiene, and when in closed spaces, practice social distancing.
In sports, Cricket West Indies has confirmed several organizational changes at the start of what is a significant year that will see the launch of a new 4-year strategic plan and the hosting of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in June. Some contracts have reached a natural conclusion, including those of Dominic Warren, Commercial Marketing and Communications Director, and Philip Spooner, Media and Public Relations Manager. Both individuals will continue supporting the CWI in new roles, working directly on the upcoming ICC Men's T20 World Cup in June. The decision has been taken to not immediately replace members of the selection panel, Roland Butcher, Travis Dallin, and Robert Haynes, whose tenures ended on December 31st, 2023. The remaining lead selectors shall continue to serve under their existing contracts with CWI. Also, Coach Development Manager Chris Brabazon has also left the organization to take up a new role back home in Australia. The recruitment process for a new commercial director and coach development manager will begin imminently. Time now to see what the weather picture is like today. The barometric pressure stands at 1014 millibars. The temperature is 26.3 degrees Celsius. The humidity stands at 85% and the winds are coming from the east at 24 kilometers per hour. It's presently partly cloudy with slight haze. The seas are smooth to moderate in open water with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2 meters and steady. The tides, the first high tide will be at 9:43 a.m., the second at 10:20 p.m. The first low tide was at 3:04 a.m. and the second will be at 4:13 p.m. In Barbados today, after a few light morning showers, it will be mostly sunny. Tonight is expected to be mostly clear. That's today's morning report. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 p.m. on TV8, followed by The World at 1 via our radio network of stations. Time now for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning to you. It's already Thursday. Yes, imagine that. A new year and the week is going swiftly, 2024. This morning, we're going to have lots in store for you. Yes, we're going to be updating you on what would have happened for some of the charities over the Christmas period. We're also going to get to hear from Barb. We're going to have some dentists in the house telling us about various conditions, sleep apnea, as well as sleep medicine. So there's a lot to unpack this morning. I'm glad that you could have joined us this morning because there's going to be a lot in store for you to hear about. I want to welcome Ms. Sharon Bellamy Thompson to the program this morning of the Fishers of Men charity. And as you know, she does a lot of work in the interest of the children, also for the homeless. And she would have had her annual Christmas party at the Green Acres, January 1st. Yes, she brought all the mascots out for the children. You can see the jumping tent, Santa's there, Mickey and Minnie are there. Just about everybody, parents and children, all out to have a great time. And was it that indeed, Sharon?
Good morning, Barbados, and good morning to you, Wendy. Always a pleasure seeing you.
Yeah, seeing you too. How great was it?
Well, this one was the biggest I've ever had over the years, and it was well attended. I have close to 600 children.
How did you contend with that many children?
Well, you know, you have to have a love for these things, so having all of these children was not a problem. They're well behaved. They had a wonderful time. They were so excited. Some of them was very afraid of the mascots.
Oh dear, yes, because some children don't like clowns and that kind of thing. And there was plenty food. I'm sure fish was on that menu too.
Of course.
Has to be on that menu. Now, you also would have had transportation, busing all of them in. Did that go according to plan?
Yes, please, that went according to plan. The transport board was there, and I would like to say thanks to them, the people in Empowerment, Kurt Humphrey, who provide, and Elder Affairs, who provide the transport. There was the Barbados Defense Force and Coast Guard, who cooks all of that food, because you know that was loads of food. And thanks to Commander Sherlin and Roger team, Coast Guard, Rogers and his team.
Well, I'm happy that our armed forces were on board helping, because when it comes to Christmas, when it comes to charity, you can always depend on those able-bodied seamen to do what they have to do. So that's a great thing. Now, the parents were also on board. For them, what kind of feedback did they give about, having the event, the gifts the children would have received?
Yes, they were really happy because, since COVID had shut in, a lot of people and there were special needs, and, the parents were saying that they always thank me for inviting the kids, because there's actually not a lot for the special needs to do, They're shut in, and people,
I am so
not
happy
consider
that
them.
you made sure that they were included as well. What for you was the interaction like between the special needs children and the other kids? They assisted them in getting on the various rides and so on?
Yes, they were so happy, and the mascots went over to the special needs ones, the ones in the wheelchair, and they greeted them, and they were so happy, excitement.
Yes.
And
Because children are children.
Yes.
Regardless, children are children, and we need to embrace them all. Now, 600 green acres, sprawling property, so everybody got a chance to mix, mingle, without, being in any way unsafe, because there was lots of room to spread out. We had the pictures, the posing, the what have you. How have you been pushing it? Have you been putting those images up on your social media platform? What have you been doing to encourage more people to be a part of it for the next time around?
Yes, I normally posted it, and I don't have a problem with sponsorship because everyone knows what I do. They know that I'm straight, I'm fair. I give out what I take, what I receive from my sponsors, I give right back out to the kids.
And that's important, because in terms of being able to go again and building that necessary relationship with them. Now, let's look at 2024. What are some of the things the Fishers plans to do?
Well, I'm planning a next party very shortly on January 21st, Arab Bar's Day.
Arab Bar Day, okay.
Yes, I am, because we didn't do much. Only we had that one party last year. And I'm trying to do some like fundraising, like sponsor walk and stuff like that. Because what happens is like when there's time for the kids to go back to school, they need their school supplies. So I want to do some sponsor walks and stuff like that, so I can help even with some poor families who I actually go to like in the week. When I go to with the food hampers, they don't have any light, they don't have internet for the kids and stuff like that. So I want to raise some great funds so as I can, some of them don't even have bottled gas in their house, and it's really hard. It hurts me to see lots of children in the house and no light. They're not privileged to have certain things which our kids would have. Yes,
yeah,
so
that's
going
always
forward,
hurtful.
that's what I want to do.
But luckily, God has opened your heart. He keeps it open, and you keep giving and giving and giving, and that is an awesome thing. Now, in terms of organizing the party and the people who would have been on board with you, how many volunteers did you have about?
Well, the Kawanis were there, and then I have my Fishers of Men charity. Those are about 6 persons who always come to the party to help with it. And Kawanis there bring a team headed by Superintendent Michael Blackman. He bring a team about 15 to 20 people, and we
and
get
this is
it
them
going.
we can see here in the blue.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I see somebody familiar, one of my media colleagues, Carrie. So a lot of people were there indeed helping out. And that's always great to know. And it's not just about the helping, but it's about what you transfer to that person in assisting them. It's a feel good. It's nice to know that somebody would have taken their time out to come and do things for others. That's always warm. That's always welcoming. Now, that's the children that we're talking about with the charity. You're talking about back to school. Outside of that, any other plans for the children? I know other people do like homework, study programs, things like that.
Yes, all of that I want to put in place. That's when I get the building, because I'm looking forward of having a building with the homeless, to feed the homeless, for there to live there, and also, you know, homework and stuff like that. And then I want to do the program, but like, because you know there are many kids in Barbados who goes to school on mornings without breakfast. Then when they go home, there's nothing to go home to. So the shelter will provide all of that. I would open it for like 6 o'clock so the school kids can have their breakfast first, go to school, and then when they come home, that
On
they
the way
back
home,
home,
they
they
can
will
pick back up a meal.
A meal.
That's awesome.
That's my heart's desire.
I really hope that your desire comes true, because that's an awesome wish for 2024. It really is. So what else now? Did you get to enjoy Christmas? I mean, with all the work you were doing, did you yourself get to enjoy the Christmas holidays?
Well, not really. You know, it's not about me, it's about people. My whole life is based on people. God takes care of me and I take care of the people. But right after the party, when I came home, I fell asleep right outside in the veranda. I was so tired.
Well, at least you were safe there because you were at home. So, and I'm sure that your neighbors and so on are quite familiar with what you do. So somebody would have been looking out, you know, no harm would have been caused to you with that. Now, the name of the party was Suffer the Children Not. This one is for the kids. And will that also be the theme that you take through 2024 with all the
Suffer
extra things?
the little children not, yes. And I have to say this, the kids, when some of the kids saw me in my outfit, they asked me if I came from Disney World. I look like a fairy princess.
Okay. Yes, I love that. You're with can't remember this character. What's her name again? This princess here from Ice. Elsa, yes, Elsa. I'm sorry, I'm a boy mom, so I don't remember all these things the little girls like. But you would have catered to both the girls and the boys, because we saw Mickey there as well. And yes, you do look like a fairy princess, ensuring that these little ones are given all the love and generosity that one can offer. Again, Blackman, we know him, so we're happy that he would have assisted as well in the whole process. I want to thank you going into 2024. I want for you to continue doing all that you are doing, because the children of this nation need you. And I hope some more volunteers also come on board to assist you, not for credit, not for names to be called, but in the genuine interest of the development of our country. So it was wonderful. Is there anything else you're looking forward to for 2024?
I'm always looking forward and have plan A, plan B. There's so much I want to do for 2024 and beyond. And last but not least, I want to thank all my sponsors. There's so much to thank. I just want to say a big thank you to Co-op Barbados, because there was lots of people who doesn't have businesses, but to every business in Barbados, every company, provide every supermarket, every bread place. I even had funeral homes coming on board to assist. So I want to say a big thank you, because I can't call all the names.
No.
I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has provided for the kids, for making this event a success. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and from Fishers of Men Charity. I want to say a big thank you.
Now, you had something special planned for this morning?
Yes, I wanted to thank the sponsors, but there are so many, and I'll do that in the newspaper.
Okay.
But thank you to them.
Righty. Yes, Sharon Bellamy Thompson. Glad for all the help that everyone has been giving in this entire process to keep things moving, to keep things going. I want to thank you for coming on Morning Barbados. Always a pleasure to see you, and to know that you continue to do well as the time goes on. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the first 4 ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together as parents and care providers to reduce the further development of this chronic non-communicable disease within our communities.
Kids Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat.
Good morning to you.
And we are back. We're going to be talking with BARP, the Barbados Association of Retired Persons. We have their president, Mornin Rice-Bowen, in the house. Yes. And the Barbados Association of Retired Persons in 2024 and beyond. Their theme remains healthy aging, aging strong. And we can see that you are indeed aging strong, Marilyn.
Thank you so very much, Wendy, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well. Always a pleasure to have you here with me. Now, before we get to 2024, what for you were some of the biggest hallmarks, accomplishments of 2023?
2023 was extremely hectic, but when I focus on advocacy, we were successful in moving the age, the 70 plus, renewal of the driver's license, 70 plus. Prior to the amendment, one had to produce a driver's certificate, a medical certificate at age 70, and every year since onward. We were successful in getting that move from age 70 to age 75, and from age 75 it's every 2 years. However, we are still waiting for the actual implementation of the act. Okay. So until we get further word that they are ready, we would want our members to just hold, and we will advise them when they can actually go to licensing authority to renew their driver's license, and with every 2 years. So okay. that called for a high level of advocacy, and we worked on that one. We partnered with BAMP on that because you couldn't go on alone.
No, they
had
you needed
to be
that
some
medical backing.
You needed that medical backing to support what we were stating, and so that was a major plank for us as well.
Now, what about? I remember that the health issues, insurance, a lot of those things also came to the fore for your members. You would have done a number of seminars as well.
Yes.
About how to age healthy.
Yes. We partnered, again, Wendy, there is much to gain from partnership. You can't do things alone. We have to face that. And we partnered with Ross University and offered to members free, the word free, non-emergency clinics, and those were oversubscribed. We also partnered with BioConnect, and they offered us some body scans, which are extremely expensive, but they recognize the value of the members of BARP, and they wanted to assist us in, early detection saves lives.
Yes, it does.
So through Ross, we've been able to have the health clinics as well as eye clinics through the Barbados Diabetes Association. So, and as we go into 2024, we are going to up it a bit more.
Oh, that's up the thing. Okay.
We gotta up it. We gotta up the thing.
That's always good because every day we age.
It's true.
So the BART membership will continue to grow. No, Marlon, I haven't gotten across as yet. I know you're about to ask. I know, but I haven't gotten there.
You could do it online, bartmember.com. Upload that photo, pay your dues, and copies of both sides of your ID card, and we mail the card to you.
Okay, you see?
So there's no excuse.
None whatsoever. None. They're online people. And that's the thing about you and the organization, Marilyn, in that you ensure that your membership and the administrative process stays abreast of the times. You all aren't lagging. This is
No.
you all are making sure you're paperless.
Yeah, we are helping. In addition to being paperless, one can also renew your BART membership at any Shore Pay, any post office island-wide as well. So we meet our members wherever
they are. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So everybody doesn't have to journey up to
bar.
Christchurch to the office to
Exactly,
do what they have to
exactly.
do. And in terms now of the drive toward membership, the age had been lowered.
Yes.
Right? So outside of that, what else are we going to be looking at for this year in terms of that drive?
Okay. In 2024, of course, we lowered the age to 40. And what we are going to we will do this year as well is to introduce some retirement planning, because one recognizes, I mean, it's like a stat record. By 2050, half of this population in Barbados will be 60 and over. So we have to plan for that period rather than sit and wait. And there's not much time. So we have to assist those 40-year-olds in planning for their retirement. We also recognize the importance of estate planning. Estate planning not only for the 40s, but for everybody. Because, you know, Wendy, you know, having been raised with grandparents, you know, the old people used to say, you don't put on your pajamas until you're ready to go to sleep.
Yes.
But today now we have to look at life totally different, because sometimes you don't plan to go sleep and you just don't wake up. So we have to put all of our estate planning in place so as to avoid problems in families and all of that as well.
So have you all been doing education and training seminars on those issues as well?
No, in 2024, this year, we'll start. We're going to partner with some companies and to offer these different programs, because we recognize the importance of estate planning and retirement planning as well.
Okay, so as a BART member, what other areas, topics, subject matters will I have access to in terms of the training? I remember during COVID, you ensured that a number of them became computer savvy.
Yes.
I remember you doing that area of training.
Zoom training.
So for 2024, what else are you looking at?
2024, what we're going to look at as well is we have secured a partner who's prepared to bring their bus at BART so that our members can navigate the ATMs, to use the ATM machines, because what we recognize is that quite a few persons are still a little afraid of the ATMs, you know, particularly when it's talking back to you and it speaks very quickly. So before you can put in your code, they tell you wrong this or wrong that, and it's very intimidating for some people. And we recognize that the world is going digital. And we also recognize that our members might not be able to move at the pace. So we are preparing them for that. We're going to have the ATM machine where they can come and they can practice using the ATM machine. Hopefully, no, for sure, by the second quarter, we will have our members' business center open, and they'll have access to the computers where they can do online and training and all that. So we are going to be preparing our members for the digital spaces ahead as well.
Okay. Now, the one thing I love about BARP is that even though you put all the big things in, you also make sure that members enjoy themselves.
Oh, yeah.
You had a sold out fete.
Yes.
You also had a bus ride. Tell me about it.
Let's look at the fete first. There was a crop over fete, which was held at the Hilton. And where people were struggling and couldn't get events sold out and had to lower prices, not with BARP. We were sold out about a week before the event. And, you know, when the event finished, when you go hold another one, you say, well, crop over 2024.
Because you are a soca baby.
Yeah, you know. But that was a successful event. and our members had a grand time.
But we can see all the hands in the air. I guess there's no arthritis in that room.
Nah, even if
all
they had
hands
arthritis, arthritis disappeared.
Just for that time.
Just for that night.
Just for that night.
It was a great night, and the music, everything was just really, really well. The ladies had a good time. And they had some young people in the crowd too.
Yeah, there would be
Yes.
who would go out and, share with their parents or an auntie or so on, because usually that's how you're introduced to the FET world.
Yes.
An older family member takes you. So
Exactly.
if you now have to go with that older family member to get them there safely, what's the harm?
Yeah.
You also, there's some who will not FET, they want to be a little quieter, bus ride.
We had a bus ride in April, and that was free. We had 8 buses. And we did a scenic bus ride. We started, of course, with Freedom Park. And this is one of our sponsors, Signia Globe.
Okay.
What we did is, as we pass our sponsors' locations, we stopped the buses, honked the horn, played some music. So it was a grand day and like some persons had never visited Freedom Park.
Okay.
And there are things that we take for granted, but some persons had never visited Freedom Park. So that was a treat.
And I guess most of them would have looked for their names on the wall and such like.
As they saw, look, the names, and they're taking the
Yes,
pictures and everything. And everybody brought their picnic baskets. But what was even better, when we got to the location, when we got to Botanical Gardens, we told people, you brought your own picnic baskets.
Yes.
Girl, and everything was in the baskets. But when we got there, the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, one of our partners, they provided all of the tents, the chairs and the tables.
Yes.
And tablecloths.
Yes, that's important.
And tablecloths.
Because you all want to ensure that you dine properly.
Exactly.
You're on the outside, but you still want to be on the right side.
And our members deserve that level of treatment.
Yeah.
Value added treatment. They've done a lot.
They've done a lot.
So that was a grand event, and we're going to have it again this year as well.
Okay.
Yes,
Same April?
Same April. We are in the planning process right now, and we know we're going to have more buses.
Yes.
But our members had a very good time, and they did their line dancing and everything. So BARP is healthy aging strong. We're concentrating on the health. We're looking at your financial health. We're looking at planning, estate planning. We're looking at your emotional health, and then of course your physical health. You need to get out there, get busy. When we go, we do a little. We have line dancing classes at BARP as well.
Okay.
On Mondays, and those classes have been oversubscribed.
It seems as though everything in BARP is oversubscribed. So I'm wondering if I actually will, when I join, get to be in anything.
Yes. Well, you got to join first.
Okay.
You got to join first. Once you join, you'll see how quickly you could get onto things. But we are making sure that our members are kept active. So like line dancing is in the morning.
Yes.
On Monday morning. So it gives them something to do. And I know during the course of this year, we are going to introduce other events, other classes, so that they can get out of the house during the day.
And that's important too, for them to be moving about, to be active, because active aging is important. Is very, very critical, because if you already have a few issues, you need to keep yourself limber.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
You need to keep moving. Yeah.
It's true.
You need to keep moving. So we are so happy to have had you here, Marilyn.
It's always a pleasure.
BARP all the best for 2024.
Thank you.
Yes, I will remember where to log on to make sure that my membership is done.
Somebody will call you today.
Somebody will call me today.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you know my number, so I can't say that they won't. And I'll encourage some other friends to join.
Yeah, please
as well.
do. Yes,
yes. Because we want to age active and healthy as well. That's Marlon Rice-Bowen, the president of BARP, telling us all about their plans for 2024. When we come back, we'll have your news update.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Recap. If the National Council for Substance Abuse has its way, they want vaping banned in Barbados. Australia has already implemented its restrictions, announcing a comprehensive strategy to ban vaping, apart from prescribing by a physician for smoking cessation and additionally banning imports of disposable use vapes, a type that has been particularly attractive to the nation's youth from Monday this week. Deputy Director of the Drug Prevention Agency, Troy Wickham, says they have begun the education and advocacy drive against vaping.
Vape is tobacco, and it falls under the Tobacco Act that it must not be used in public places. So that push has already been in place. However, it's to educate the public, and that's one of the reasons for, especially for the next 3 months, we'll be engaging the Barbados Police Service to speak to the acts, the various acts surrounding alcohol, surrounding tobacco, surrounding the amendments to the Cannabis Act, to let them know whether these laws need to be enforced.
Mr. Wickham knows that vaping, like alcohol, is easily accessible, and they want to protect young people.
It's important that we protect especially the younger demographic against, obviously, the appetite for substances. As you know, as Wendy said earlier in the conversation, that alcohol is all over the home. And our research has consistently shown us that for accessibility, the home, a family, siblings, and they introduce the younger demographic to substances and give them the appetite for substances. And we are trying to obviously deter them.
The NCSA deputy added that with many adults doing these things openly and still functioning, the young people believe there will be no harm to their health.
If I have a sibling or parent who engages in substance use and they go to work every day, they appear to be functioning normally, and then for Wendy or myself to come to your school and say, well, look, drugs can kill. Then I would say, but for 40 years, I saw my daddy smoking or drinking rum or using alcohol or using marijuana. He got very normal to me. So that's the challenge.
Centers for Disease Control say the use of e-cigarettes are unsafe for kids, teens, and most adults, young adults, with most e-cigarettes containing nicotine, a highly addictive substance. A CDC study found that 99% of the e-cigarettes sold in access venues in the United States contained nicotine, which is harmful to the developing adolescent brain as it impacts the parts of the brain that control attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. Nicotine withdrawal symptoms include irritability, restlessness, feeling anxious or depressed, trouble sleeping, problems concentrating, and craving nicotine. Youth may turn to vaping to try to deal with stress or anxiety, creating a cycle of nicotine dependence. Scotiabank's intention to charge for transfers to other banks has generated much response online. CBC's Crystal Hoyt has more.
One user on a social media platform questioned if the move was conducive to an evolving banking sector, tweeting $1.25 per transfer, so much for going cashless and fostering seamless payments. Another user charged that the quality of service is declining as new fees are introduced, describing it as nothing more than greed. While one consumer was sympathetic to the cost of building out these systems, he said the social responsibility of the bank should be around the customer and the ease of doing business. Users also suggested that Scotiabank was not the only bank with such fees. pointing out that RBC Royal Bank has fees for transfers to other banks. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Dozens of people have been killed in Iran and more than 200 others wounded in explosions, and today has been declared a day of mourning. It was not immediately clear what caused the blast. Officials say it was a terrorist attack.
As the new year begins, commercial maritime traffic on the Suez Canal is down by nearly a third compared to a year ago. And 2/3 of container ships canceled their Suez bookings.
More than 170 people have been injured. Wednesday marks 4 years since the senior general was killed in a US drone strike near the airport in Baghdad in Iraq. President Ibrahim Raisi has now cancelled a planned trip to Turkey, and a day of mourning has been declared on Thursday. Mustafa Koshishim is an Iranian political analyst. He says many children are among the casualties.
There have been a couple of terrorist attacks on the path that ends up in the cemetery of the city of Kerman, a few hundred yards away from the burial place of martyred General Qasem Soleimani. Apparently 73 people have been martyred, 171 others have been wounded. The numbers could rise. But among those killed are children. A number of children have been killed. The burial, the ceremony, the anniversary moved ahead, and it's being done peacefully. But there are also unconfirmed reports that there could have been a third bomb that have been defused by Iranian security guards. Most of those that have been killed in this attack so far have been reported to be from the civilians. No military or no official has been reported dead. A few hundred yards away from Qasem Soleimani's burial place, you have so many people that come. It's like Arba'in, we call them Mukeb. They distribute drinks and food to the people. So they have been civilians, most of them, if not all of them.
Major firms have stopped using the Suez Canal to ship their goods around the world since Yemen's Houthi rebels started to attack shipping vessels on the Red Sea. In this report, we hear about the consequences for this change in shipping routines.
As the new year begins, commercial maritime traffic on the Suez Canal is down by nearly a third compared to a year ago. And 2/3 of container ships canceled their Suez bookings just last week. As Houthis continue their attacks on commercial vessels, major firms have stopped using the canal. So where are they going? Many are sailing around the southern tip of Africa. Container ship traffic at the Cape of Good Hope has nearly doubled. But vessels carrying oil, liquefied natural gas, metals, and grains are also diverting to the Southern Passage. And that's not only due to the conflict in the Red Sea. Traffic at the Panama Canal, half a world away, has also been reduced due to drought.
If you, for example, we're talking about a container vessel that was coming from Asia to Europe, that usually takes 35 days to go from Asia to Europe. So by adding another 10, 12 days on top of that, that means that the rotations between Asia and Europe are going to be less on a year. So that means that the carrying capacity of the vessel and the company as well is going to drop. And that kind of carrying capacity is the problem, because that's how the shipping companies are making money.
Sailing around Africa to avoid the Red Sea adds over 3,500 nautical miles, 10 extra days, and millions of dollars to a trip between Europe and Asia. Fuel makes up half of a vessel's operational cost, and more fuel means more emissions, and that's just as the European Union is charging new tariffs at its ports to curb them. And for us, more expensive goods, just as governments are trying to ease inflation. Developing countries that rely on food commodities already diverted due to the war in Ukraine could be hit again.
Of course, another thing we have to keep in mind is that when all the vessels are going to arrive in 20 days from today, because at the moment they're taking a detour and they're diversifying around Africa, but when all those vessels are going to arrive into the ports, then maybe we're going to see some kind of congestion over there.
Following the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, the Suez Canal was closed for 7 years. In today's more connected world, these few crossings are even more valuable.
In sports, Cricket West Indies has confirmed several organizational changes at the start of what is a significant year that will see the launch of a new 4-year strategic plan and the hosting of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in June. Some contracts have reached a natural conclusion, including those of Dominic Warren, Commercial Marketing and Communications Director, and Philip Spooner, Media and Public Relations Manager. Both individuals will continue to support the CWI in new roles, working directly on the upcoming ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The decision has been taken to not immediately replace members of the selection panel, Roland Butcher, Travis Dowlin, and Robert Haynes, whose tenures ended on December 31st, 2023. The remaining lead selectors shall continue to serve under their existing contracts with CWI. Also, Coach Development Manager Chris Brabazon has also left the organization to take up a new role back home in Australia. The recruitment process for a new commercial director and coach development manager will begin imminently. Coming up on the CBC News, that's news or news recap, but coming up on Morning Barbados, we're going to be talking dentists, but not in the usual way. We're going to be discussing something called sleep medicine and sleep apnea.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back and
morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're going to be talking with a group of people who normally scare me. But this morning, not these ladies. These are two pleasant ladies that are here to tell you about something you may or may not know in terms of the whole dental movement. We are going to be talking dental sleep medicine as well as sleep apnea. And I have with me Dr. Aditi Desai, the president of the British Association of Dental Sleep Medicine, and Dr. Alison Mears, a local dental surgeon. Welcome, ladies, and Happy New Year to you both.
And the same to you. Good morning.
Thank you. Now, let's get straight to it. What is dental sleep medicine, Dr. Desai?
So dental sleep medicine is a part of sleep medicine, which is really dealing with people with sleep apnea. And because it's a medical condition, it's what dentists can help the medical community with to manage their patients who have this underlying very serious condition where they stop breathing at night and they can't sleep well enough because it affects their brain. So we try and help the doctors manage patients who can't get on with other medical treatment options.
Okay, that's interesting. And Dr. Mears, how did Dr. Desai come to be here?
Well, Dr. Desai has been a colleague and friend for many years. And I would say during the pandemic, we reestablished our relationship through social media. And she had encouraged me to do some training on sleep apnea. She was here earlier last year and reached out to me and said that not only was she willing to help me learn, but she was willing to help our regional dentists learn. And I'm a strong believer in continuing education, so I was happy and we jumped in. And we've been able to do some training online with some of the local and regional dentists. And now she's here to do the same in face-to-face.
Okay, awesome. Now, how do you know that you necessarily have this sleep disorder. Are there any triggers that come in terms of your dental changes that would let you know that this is happening?
Yes, I mean, there are many conditions associated with sleep apnea. So the first part is, how do you know that the patient has sleep apnea? Signs and symptoms, the patient will present to either a doctor or a dentist for excessive daytime sleepiness. They will feel lethargic, fatigued. They might have comorbid conditions such as uncontrolled high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, for example. Now there's a established link between sleep apnea and Alzheimer's disease. So it's having neurocognitive effect.
Oh.
This is only because when a patient stops breathing at night, the oxygen levels do tend to drop, and it has an inflammatory process that is set up in the whole body. And as a result of that, there are lots of other triggers, cardiometabolic triggers that go on.
This sounds quite serious, Dr. Mears. And in terms of the training that you would have done, have you since that encountered any patients who were suffering?
Yes, so definitely. I mean, we've done just the initial training so far. And just with that little information that we've gotten, we've really beginning to see through our screening of our patients that we are seeing patients with signs of sleep apnea. We're then having to refer them at this point in time to other physicians locally for them to be tested. But absolutely, and it's a lot more common than we ever realized.
Wow.
So one of the main complaints that a patient may come to the dentist for is that they might be snoring. Snoring is a very cardinal symptom of underlying sleep apnea. So they'll say, I'm snoring, or they might be grinding their teeth incessantly at night, not daytime, but at night, or they might present with pain in their facial structure. So
oh,
these
you
are all
to scare me.
It's quite a heterogeneous disorder, and it has very serious complications. But when you treat it, it changes a person's life.
So this treatment is only medical, or are there also, like, say, dental devices that one would put in to assist in this regard?
Absolutely. So one of the gold standard treatment for sleep apnea is the CPAP mask. It's a mask that you wear over your face or nostrils, and what it does is sends pressured air into the esophagus, into the airway, which actually opens it up and keeps it open so the patient can breathe well. Now, most people think it's pushing oxygen into the lungs. It isn't. It's a pneumatic splint that's keeping the airway open. So the underlying treatment for sleep apnea is we want to keep that airway open whichever way we can. So the three main ones will be CPAP, which is the pressured mask. Then there's the dental devices. They're all appliances. They're called mandibular advancement devices, which hold the jaw forward at night, keep it forward, and by pushing that jaw forward, you're opening up the airway at the back and keeping it open. And the third one is surgical. Some people are born with a very, very regressed jaw. They might have massive tonsils. They may have a tumor in the airway that is blocking the airflow, well enough. So these people wouldn't go through surgery. If you're born with a retrognathic mandible and a maxilla, for example, one of the most effective treatments for these people is surgical movement of the jaw. It's quite an invasive procedure, but it has moved on aeons. It's been fantastic. I mean, when I graduated 1977, it was a bloody thing to do.
Ooh.
But now I work with a very good colleague of mine, and it's almost
It's almost non-invasive now.
Well, it is still invasive, but it's not as bloody.
Okay.
And it's not as as severe and serious as it used to be.
So the recovery period is
period
better.
much shortened, yes.
Okay.
Much so, yes.
Okay, well, that's awesome to note.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke to medicine and medication. Will these meds, Dr. Mears, perhaps impair people in other ways? Because if something is to keep me awake or to help me sleep, you assume that there's going to be some little drowsiness, what have you?
Well, what we're actually using what we call mandibular advancement devices. So it's actually not a medication. It's an appliance that the patients are wearing that repositions their jaw and allows them to keep the airway open. So it actually is going to enhance your ability to sleep, and you will have a more restful night and not have the periods where you stop breathing and then sort of wake up. Because one of the things that happens when you have sleep apnea, you have this constant interrupted sleep.
Oh.
Because when you stop breathing, you then arouse and then you try to sleep again. So you're missing the hours of sleep that you need. So it actually works to give you that back.
So like, would the trigger for this seem like if someone, because in terms of the tightening of the airway, does it present as if maybe I was going in anaphylactic shock or something like that?
No, I
How
think
does
the
it feel?
patient, there are lots of patients who have sleep apnea who are not aware of it. It's the bed partner who normally says you're stopping breathing, you're gasping, or you're snoring loudly. But the person himself may or may not be aware of it. So the main thing is here, we want to make sure that the patient is able to not only sleep number of hours, but good quality of sleep. So it's not just the quantity of sleep, it's the quality of sleep. So if you're gasping or you're stopping breathing at night, your brain is being aroused. And because of that, you're not getting the restful sleep that you require. And that has the consequences of tiredness, lack of concentration. I see lots of patients.
What we would call brain fog?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I see lots of patients who come in and say, Dr. Sai, and after lunch, I just have to keep reading the same page again and again. It's because they have brain fog. The moment you treat them, their world turns around. And I think, although CPAP is the gold standard treatment for these patients.
Okay, the CPAP machine, I guess this is what we're working with here.
That's a CPAP machine, yes.
Okay.
It can be claustrophobic, but when it does work, it's fantastic.
So if I do suffer from claustrophobia, what would be the best thing for me to do? Perhaps have a partner or a friend assist me in getting it on?
Well, not really. We have technicians who will fit out the device, the mask for you, and there are several masks that you can use.
Okay.
But lots of people don't get on with them. The numbers, as many as 50% of people who should be using CPAP cannot get on with it. They're claustrophobic, they get dryness of the mouth, their eyes are hurting, or they get indentations on their face, or they're turning on the side, there's air leakage. There are lots of complications with that, with anything.
Well, I'm looking at it and asking myself if I developed sleep apnea, if I could use it, because I sleep on every single inch of the bed. I roll from left to right, center back, because it's my bed. So I'm sleeping and I'm going to roll around. This is not for that.
So for that, we have plan B, and that is the mandibular advancement device. It's an upper and lower splint, which you wear together.
A splint?
Yeah, it's
so it
almost like
creates a little bit of separation.
Yes.
Okay.
And also holds the jaw forward. Literally, upper and lower jaw is held forward, and what it does, it opens up the airway. As soon as the airway is open, your breathing through the nostril is great. And that's improved, much improved, and that is what we're trying to do, is to get you to breathe while you're sleeping.
What if I have dentures?
Well, there are.
Or braces.
Yeah.
How will it work?
Well, with dentures, there are appliances available that can be fitted over the denture at night, or without the denture in place, you can make a device that works. If you have a brace, depending on what type of brace, then say for example somebody's having Invisalign type of braces, right? What I normally say to them is that we have to come across we have to decide what's more important, the Invisalign or feeling better. So what I normally say to my patients is, wear the oral appliance, the mandibular advancement device at night, and wear your Invisalign in the day. That means that your treatment will be lengthened somewhat, because at this moment in time, although it is under investigation, we haven't quite got an appliance that can fit over an Invisalign brace that will do the job. Because the mechanism is exactly the opposite. One is trying to move the teeth around, the other
And
one
the
is
other's
pulling
trying to keep them together.
Exactly. So, it's work in progress. It will happen. There are lots of very innovative companies out there. It will happen, but not yet. But over fixed braces, it's a little bit harder, but it's not impossible.
Understood.
Everything is possible.
Okay. When we come back, we will continue to talk with the dentist in-house. And we're also inviting you, the callers, to join us here as we discuss sleep apnea. 228-5562, 228-5563, if there's anything that you want to know while we have them here talking about these disorders. We'll be back in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. We're here on a really interesting topic with the Dentist Mears and Dentist Desai this morning. Now, you can call us if there's anything you want to know about these conditions, 228-5562, 228-5563, and pose your questions to the ladies now that we have them. She's here on island, ensuring that you get to find out exactly what this condition is all about. Now, when we were at the break, we were talking about how the sleep apnea impacts people with NCDs.
Yes, so because of the inflammatory process that is set up as a result of the oxygen desaturations, for example, when you stop breathing, it can trigger diseases such as diabetes type 2, diabetes, hypertension, other cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's. Now that is and there's a link to cancer development as well. But for me, Alzheimer's is very important because it's very much a developing, it's growing exponentially, and we want to try and stop the damage to the grey matter as a result of this hypoxic burden, as we call it.
Okay, and that's because you're constantly waking, so the active chemicals that should be producing in the brain to keep it going a little longer are being depleted when you're constantly getting up.
Absolutely. You're not getting the washout of the toxins in the brain through as lack of oxygenation, through lack of breathing. So the grey matter gets damaged.
Oh dear. Now, outside of the Alzheimer's, that's a troubling one. But what other, like say for example that I have TMJ, and it comes and it goes, would that be a symptom for me to say I need to get checked for sleep apnea?
Yes, people who have TMJ, depending on what the TMJ trigger is, if it's a result of say tooth grinding, and if tooth grinding is a result of trying to open up the airway at night, that could be a reason for you to get looked at. Now what we're trying to do is, we're trying to get every dentist to assess the airway. We're not saying to everyone you must provide devices. All we're saying is assess the airway and make sure that the patient is able to breathe well enough. That's all we want them to do.
Okay.
And if there's an airway problem, to refer on if necessary.
Now, Dr. Mears, is new for us here. You've done the training. When can, or where, is there anywhere that the other dentists can come to continue this training?
Yes, well, we have a cohort of dentists, regional dentists, We're going to be already meeting. They've already registered. It's going to be this weekend. We have dentists coming from not only Barbados, but also Trinidad, Guyana, and St. Vincent.
Okay.
And we're having a conference, and then we're also doing some clinical training on this Sunday as well.
Okay.
So,
and is there anything for the members of the public to come to freely?
not at this time, but it's something that we will definitely work on in the future. Dr. Desai will be back. This is not her only trip here.
Okay,
So this
and
is
I'm
something
sure
to
she's
look
loving
forward to.
Barbados.
Well,
we have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go right
Happy New Year
ahead.
to all of you. Yes, my question is, I have a very good friend. She breathes and she snores at night and she sleeps with her mouth wide open, actually the whole night.
Okay. You heard her?
Yes, I think she said she has someone who sleeps.
A friend.
A friend who,
Who
sleeps,
snores and the mouth is
mouth
wide open.
Absolutely, that's a very common complaint. So they breathe through their mouth because possibly their nasal breathing is affected. Now, one of the things that I always insist on, or I try and teach all my students, is always work with a medical team. Don't ever try and work on your own. So we have what's called a multidisciplinary team that we've organized. So the ENT consultants, respiratory, who are very, pulmonologists, as you call them, dentists, neurology, physiotherapists, psychologists. All of these people are very much involved in providing treatment for these patients. So, say this particular lady's friend is snoring. She can, of course, come and see one of the dentists. Then the dentist will then assess the patient and see if there's any need for her to or him to see an ENT person to make sure the nasal airway is absolutely clear.
I'm glad you mentioned the ENT.
Yeah.
Should an individual have, say, a polyp in the nose or a deviated septum or suffer with rhinitis regularly, would people like this be more predisposed to have sleep apnea?
Well, when you say sleep apnea, I would say they're more predisposed to sleep disordered breathing, which is snoring, upper airway resistance syndrome, and sleep apnea. Now, sleep apnea is quite a heterogeneous disorder, so we have to delve a little bit deeper to find out why they've got that. But polyps, any type of deviated septum, anything that leads to not effective nasal breathing will affect, the back of the throat anyway. So it helps them breathe better. But if the collapse is much further down in the airway, then they will still have sleep apnea, but they should be able to breathe properly through the nose if the polyps are removed. Yes.
Okay. Now, you were saying earlier, Dr. Mears, that you have been seeing some people and Barbadians are not aware. There's some of us who just see snoring as a joke. We will make fun of it. We will, now with the advent of cell phones, we will take pictures of it and send to the individual and say, you claim you don't snore at night, but listen to you, you're like a bear. So we make very, very light of it, Dr. Mears.
And can I say, maybe 20, 30 years ago, the dentists maybe didn't know it better either. But that's really the advantage of the knowledge that we have now. So similarly, 5, 10 years ago, we dentists would not have had a conversation with you about snoring because we didn't understand the relationship between the snoring and the sleep apnea. But thanks to advanced research, knowledge, and the persons like Aditi who have come and share that knowledge with us, we're now much better informed and better equipped to advise our patients.
And we're happy that you can come and get that advice because, like I said, the dentist was not my friend for a long, long time. For a long, long time. I mean, I love my teeth, but there was just something that, was a bit scary about it. And as you said, a lot of people find the device to be, something, they don't want to have it on. But for me, I guess it's about the same as if you use like an asthma mask, but the difference is when you're having that nebulization, you're usually awake. But here now, the idea of having to go to sleep with it. Tell me a bit about this mandible device that goes in and for me, my buccal cavity is small. I talk loud, talk a lot,
but my actual mouth is not very, it doesn't unhinge that way. So if somebody had my issues, would a device have to be specially designed for me?
So we recommend bespoke, custom-made devices because it's made to measure, to fit, and the selection process, there are over 100 devices in the world which are FDA approved.
Okay.
But the one that would be selected for you may not be suitable for Dr. Mayers or me, for example. So we have to, number one, the dentist is the only person who can look in the mouth and say, well, this lady has a very small mouth, or has a small mouth but a wide jaw, very bespoke, very specific. So what we do is we actually find the right device for you and design the right device for you. And all we want to do is anchor the upper splint, the lower splint, and then slowly move the jaw forward incrementally in order for us to find a sweet spot where it's comfortable to wear, it does the job, and it gives you the optimum therapy that you need, limited by what this biomechanical model will allow, because you can only pull the jaw forward so much.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes, that's
and
very
then
true.
it all depends on the size of the tongue, whether you've got any large uvula at the back of your throat. All of these are specifics, and that specialism can only come from a dentist.
Now, in terms of the materials that these aids are made of, for someone who might say be allergic to certain types of plastics or
metal.
Now, how are there alternatives? You said over 100, so I'm hoping that
Yes.
something will work.
So the FDA-approved devices are made of medical-grade materials, and some of the very high-end devices are so comfortable and made so beautifully that there's very little risk, if any, of any material allergies, because they're robustly tested.
Okay.
So, some of our sponsors for the meeting, they've been very generous and given us a couple of appliances for our, patients for the hands-on course. Now, those devices are milled. Some of them are 3D printed, made of material where they've gone through so many checks and balances that I, for myself, have not had any problems with any single one of them.
Okay.
But the metal ones occasionally can give you a material allergy. Occasionally.
Occasionally. They one in every 5,000-10,000 or so.
I'm not sure of the stats on that, but yes.
Okay, now this looks like something I used to know, right? But it also looks like how the Invisaligns are in terms of the material that is made of. So what's the difference between this and the Invisalign? And I guess this now would not fit over the Invisaligns.
Shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Okay.
We can make it fit, but the Invisalign will not do the job. So this material is different to the Invisalign one. Invisalign one is a very sort of malleable acetate type of a material, and it bends. This is quite a hard acrylic itself, and you can't bend it. We don't want it to bend, but remember, we're trying to hold that jaw forward very, very firmly, and yeah.
And is it easy for us to get in and out?
Very easy. If see the way when I'm treating my patients and the device comes back, I put the device in the mouth to try it. If it doesn't go in like a pair of socks, I send it back. I do not make things fit. Things have to fit.
Okay, so there's no forcing here.
No.
Okay.
No. I suppose it's a bit like when you make a crown for a patient.
Okay.
If the crown doesn't just sit in, it goes back.
So in terms of you accessing this stuff, Dr. Maris, it's going to be like, what would be a turnaround time?
Well, that is the part which is a little bit more challenging because, of course, we have to send everything usually via FedEx. Even if we're doing scans, we have to email that scan to the labs, and then we have to bring it here. That unfortunately is one of the disadvantages because we have significant delays sometimes with customs and having to get things approved through the Ministry of Health. So the turnaround time could be as much as 6 weeks sometimes.
Explain to me this delays from the health ministry. All the devices have to be approved ahead of time?
When we receive appliances, we have to actually get clearance from the Ministry of Health. So after it gets here, we have to send the documentation to the Ministry of Health and they have to approve it before it can be cleared through customs.
I would have hoped it would have been done the other way around to ensure that when I get it, it's good to go.
It's more to do with a custom scenario because I mean, there's some appliances that we don't have to pay VAT on, but in order for customs to do that, the Ministry of Health has to say yes, this is agreed. So it is a slow process that has delayed things.
And what would constitute that? The materials that they're made of is what would make it vatable versus non-vatable?
The fact that it's a medical device versus something that's just purely cosmetic.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, it's not these little crystals that you put on the teeth. So therefore, I can get it because it's essential to keep me alive and breathing well.
It's a medical device. And I always say to all my dentists, you are helping your medical colleagues treat a medical condition with a dental device. So we don't call it a dental device anymore. We call it a medical device.
Yeah, okay, because the doctor might advise me to go to Dr. Mears to be fitted for one if they perceive me to have sleep apnea. This is all very interesting, and it's going to make you wonder, well, are you really snoring at night? Should you go to your doctor and get that extra check? But ladies, I am so happy you joined us. I'm glad that more dentists on the island will be benefiting from you, Dr. Desai, so that we will all be good at the end of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us here. Thank you.
Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
You know, the businesses, houses doing extra stuff like that, banks rather, isn't really helping the public to grow. And the thing is, we hear, oh, when you're not going to do account, how they're all for you and whatnot, then they just slam these extra costs on you. Now, don't get me wrong, if we can go to the bank and the lines are short and we can just have Wi-Fi, cafe and what have you, if they're giving us all those services, sure, you can charge me extra $125 if I'm going to go there The lines are very short. Tellers are there working. I don't have a problem with that, paying for the good service.
I don't think that the bank should charge any more for transactions. Right now, the banks are overrated, and I just think that it is a bit too much. And even like for small businesses, like even to open accounts at the banks is like really too much, and I think it's ridiculous. And charging to just send money to another bank or a credit union, I think that is not right, in my opinion.
I don't think it's reasonable, saying that people need to make their own money, saying that it's kind of tough in these times nowadays. So I don't think it's something they should do.
That was the public having their way in on the issue of the charges for the electronic transfers and so on. And we want to hear what you think about it. The central bank has halted the entire process. So as of January 2nd, they were told, no, you cannot charge for these services. But what do you think? Do you think it's right for them to charge and have that money support the actual digital online platform? Or do you think we're already burdened enough within the banking system? I want to hear from you. 228-5562, 228-5563. What are your thoughts on this situation as members of the public, as individuals who place your money within our financial systems? 228-5562, 228-5563. And you would realize that Barbadians were very free to vent and say and write how they were feeling on the entire matter. Because, you know, some people tend to think that, oh, if something offends us, we're going to keep quiet about it. But no, not this week. The public has said clearly, we're not down for it. No, it will not work. And we had the regulatory body talk about it. Yes. So let's hear what the governor of the central bank had to say on this matter. The Central Bank of Barbados is confirming media reports that it has directed commercial banks not to impose fees on electronic transactions made through the Automated Clearinghouse, the ACH, including the real-time payments, the RTP system. On January 2nd, the bank issued a circular to commercial banks advising them that fees are not to be charged on these transactions and that any fees that are currently being charged should be discontinued immediately. The bank notes that under the National Payment Systems Act, the NPSA 2021 Cap 1, it has responsibility for the oversight of the national payment system, and you know, that's what is their right to do. They are the regulators, so they will tell you exactly what has to be done. So let's hear how you feel. 228-5562, 228-5563. How do you feel about this matter? You can also probably send us an email or a WhatsApp here at Morning Barbados so we can get your comment. It might not be convenient to call right now, and you might be online, so you'll just send us a little quick message letting us know how you feel about it. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Wendy.
Good
Happy
morning
New Year
to you and Happy New Year. How do you feel?
I feel that where they should be putting the rates is on our interest.
I'm not hearing you clearly.
I feel where they should be putting the rates should be on our interest.
Yes, yes. Give us some more interest from our savings. I agree with you totally. So when you saw it, when you heard it, what was your immediate reaction? Was it a not again for you?
Pardon?
When you first heard about it, what was your first comment? Did you go not again with these banks?
Right. Because they're not giving you any interest now on your money. Actually, they're taking it away from you.
So, but you know, we have options within the banking system, within the financial system, what have you. But what are your thoughts generally on how we as Barbadians are treated?
Give me your thoughts on.
No, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the general charges and so on.
Well, as I say, I feel that the rate should go on our interest.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go to our next caller on the line. Now, you would have heard what he said. He thinks we should be getting higher interest on our savings within that banking system. Everybody wants to know that money is making more money for us. Charges. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go right ahead, sir. Listen to your telephone and not your television.
The charges, sorry about that. The bank is charging $7.50 for every deposit of $1,000 in cash. I find that I was wondering if this is embroiled in the same statement made by central bank. Is this included?
No, the statement refers to those payments only under the automated clearinghouse and the RTP. All other services would be subject to whatever other parameters the bank has laid out on them. But this was mostly to the electronic transfer of funds. You know, people now, instead of walking with money, they will use their phones or their laptop or tablet, what have you, to transfer funds from my account into your account. Say you were my plumber, and I'm looking to pay you. Instead of having to rendezvous with you somewhere, by the time you call me to say it's already fixed, Wendy, I can send your money to you straight away. You don't have to wait to interact with me to receive those funds. I can get it straight to your account once I have your banking details. That's what the central bank statement referred to.
Well, I'm with you on that. But I think it's also quite vulgar to be charging an individual who is putting money on your bank that you're going to lend out at usurious interest rate and charge that individual $7.50 for every $1,000 he or she puts on.
But also remember that you're not only charged for putting on. When your accounts drop below a certain level in terms of the amount of money you have there, you're also charged. So if you put a lot, you're getting a charge. If you have too little, you're still getting a charge. How can we win? That's that's why the regulators are there.
Exactly, and that is what the Prime Minister targeted.
Yes,
the whole securitization.
Yes, she did speak to the issue of the bank charges and some of them being a bit exorbitant and burdensome to consumers.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for calling this morning, sir. And Happy New Year to you. So we have the public weighing in terms of how people really feel about their funds. A lot of people tend to use this payment system now as well because it's easier, it's convenient. It puts you, the individual, in less danger of having to carry around large sums of cash. You can go to one space and do it all. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Pleasant good morning to you, Wendy, and Barbados.
To you as well, and Happy New Year. Go right ahead.
It's totally absurd. Most persons, if they're like me, make so many transactions a month. If I make 4, I say that's 5. It really adds up. And then you have your credit card fee. If you do at least 5, I have no idea. I'm very glad the regulators have definitely stepped in here.
Yes,
have a great day.
We are happy too. So thanks to the governor for jumping in here and ensuring that as consumers, our rights are protected. Because we think sometimes, viewers, that because somebody is a bigger player in the game, that they don't see the needs of the small man and that they're not going to be responsive to our complaints. But we are quite happy that in this instance, the central bank heard the cries of the public and put halt to this matter early rather than after it actually got underway on February 2nd, February 1st, that would be. And individuals who have been charging these fees have been told to cease immediately. So that's 2 pluses for us. Let's say good morning to the governor of the central bank, Dr. Kevin Greenidge. I believe that today you are the champion for a number of Barbadians within the banking system. Now, we want to hear from you, 228-5562, 228-5563, how you really feel about it. I'm not saying that banks don't need to have charges. The administration of the sector needs to keep going. However, I think if it feels as if everything is being pulled out of you and there are no benefits of being within the banking system, you know, who knows what people may start to actually do with their money. They're now, as Marlon Rice-Bowen was saying earlier, they're actually trying to get their membership into the whole idea of the digital banking and using ATMs and, you know, being able to navigate in this new space. And if you've decided to be in this new space, but then, you know, nobody is coming to your rescue, you ask yourself, why should I bother? Now, when we come back, we'll tell you about some of the things that will be happening toward tomorrow. Yes, we're going to be at the end of the week. So we'll be back after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the four ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It was a great morning. I mean, I'm feeling a little scared now hearing about this sleep apnea, but I'm happy to know that Dr. Mears and Dr. Desai are on board to help should I experience any issues. That's always great to know. I want to thank Marilyn for coming as well and talking about all the plans for BARP. So if you're like me and you need to join, go ahead and do just that. They're online. Now, come tomorrow, we will be getting to talk to the child psychologist, Samantha Lord. She'll be coming along to tell us some more about the management of our children, and we'll probably get some more tips on how to deal with them. We had heard about her talking about the holidays and how to ensure that you don't ignore your children and prioritize them. Also, I will be getting to see my friend George Straker. He has a new gospel number out. Yes, George loves to sing, and we'll hear exactly what this new gospel track is going to be all about. So we'll be having them and lots more tomorrow on Morning Barbados. Until then, folks, do enjoy the rest of your morning, your afternoon, and keep safe into tonight. I'm Wendy Bird.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.